One of the nice things about nature is that it can take you away from the computer screen. It can take you away from your ordinary everyday thoughts, from all the problems of your life. And when you walk with nature, you often fall into a natural state of meditation. Meditation becomes like a tree that blossoms and is something that we can carry forward into our lives. The spirit body contains 5 pranas, 5 types of spiritual energy. And when we sit in meditation, we need to keep our spine straight, comfortably straight, so that we can bring the energy, just like it's the sap rising or the energy rising up through a tree, we bring it up through the earth and up through into our higher chakras, and in particularly into the centre of the head. Because meditation is kind of a way into your spirit. And most people haven't the faintest idea what we're talking about when we talk about meditation. They think it's some sort of woolly fantasizing, some sort of dreamy state. It's not. It takes a lot of work. It takes, in particular, concentration. And once we learn to concentrate the mind, only then can we learn to step into the next phase, which is to go beyond the mind, to observe the mind, and go into what we can call meditation. So how do we concentrate the mind? Well, there's a number of techniques. The first thing you really want to do is, first and foremost, get yourself comparatively fit. The whole idea of yoga, for example, is there to get the person in a state where they can do the most difficult of the asanas, which is to actually sit still in the lotus position. And anybody sitting for a long period of time will understand that it can be quite an edge. It can be quite uncomfortable, your legs can go numb, your toes can go to sleep. But once you get into a meditative state, all those things no longer become important to you. You can move away from the body and into the mind. Now, the way into meditation is often to use the breath. But to get to the breath, we start through a very simple technique. First thing, if you're sat in your meditation posture, look all around you. Look at your environment, at what you see. Let it all come in. It encourages the unconscious to know that you're in a safe place. Then close your eyes. And from this point, you then listen. Listen to all the sounds you can hear. Listen perhaps to the ticking of a clock in the distance, to the traffic in the distance when you're in a place like this, or to the simple quiet sound. Let your hearing become super sensitive so you can hear it all. Then come in from that and feel the body. Notice how the body's sitting. Notice your posture. You may need to make a couple of simple adjustments. Don't fiddle too much though. If you feel uncomfortable, just note it. See the position of your body, feel it, and then move in finally to the breath. Once you are able to hold the attention on the breath, then you can begin to train the mind. Because, you know, the brain works in accordance with the breathing. If we are, for example, upset, we get angry, just think about what happens to your breathing. It becomes faster and faster and becomes quite uncomfortable. Sometimes you have to sit down to get back into a normal breathing state. So it just shows how interrelated the breathing is with our way we are feeling and thinking. Even simple changes in the thoughts can change the pattern of the breath. And most people's breaths are all over the place. They're erratic. But in meditation, the breath becomes something very special. And by watching the breath, we're actually also changing the mind. Now, in breath meditation, you don't actually try to change the breath. This is the important thing. You're not trying to suspend the breath or hold the breathing for long periods of time. You need to be able to just observe. And that sounds very easy, but it's a lot harder than initially may think. So if the mind wanders off, bring it back to the breath. Bring it back to the breath. Bring it back to the breath. Time and time again. It will endlessly wander. The breath then becomes something that is like a portable technique that you can take with you. If you can watch your breath at any point, I can watch it here out in nature. I can watch it when I'm at home meditating, or I can watch it when I'm driving, or when I'm watching television, or reading a book, or any activity in the day. I can bring my mind back to the breath, back to the breath, back to the breath. It's like training a puppy dog. You keep bringing it back. Sit, you say to the dog, sit. But then it comes up and it comes back again. So you take it back again, sit. You don't do it with anger or violence. You do it gently, but you do it repetitively. And that's the same gentle way you need to train the mind. Constantly bringing it back, bringing it back. So you keep bringing the mind back to the breath. It all sounds very boring, but in fact it is a phenomenally interesting thing to do. It's the first step into other techniques that you can develop within meditation. And there's many other techniques that will follow on from this, but breathing is your way in. If you can master the breathing, you could stay there indefinitely. In fact, the Buddhists and many of the Buddhist techniques will just use the breath and none of the other spinal techniques and other techniques and Kriya techniques that might be used in yoga and so forth. But for mediumistic people who are obviously watching this, it's important to understand that meditation is important, but meditation is first and foremost a discipline, a concentrating of the mind. You can then, if you want, carry on and add a mantra to the breath. The most common one that is used is so hum. With the inward breath, you inwardly think the word so, and with the outward breath, hum. But you don't force the mantra onto the breath or the breath onto the mantra. You just let it arise. Each breath is a gift. Each breath is your life. Each breath is your existence. Without it, you wouldn't be here. Watch that beautiful state emerging. It's you that's emerging with the inhale and fading with the exhale. And between the breaths, there's also a point. As the breath changes from inhale to exhale, there's a short moment where it's neither inhale nor exhale. And those gaps are the thing that are the doorway into your true nature.